thanks for joining me today. You like my colourful shirt? Well, this shirt tells you a lot about me. It is full of colourful birds. This really tells you who I am. I am fond of birds. Not just photographing birds, just watching birds in nature, just observing them. That is who I am. I am just a passionate bird enthusiast. Long before I started photographing birds, I used to breed birds. I used to breed Gouldians, a lot of Australian native finches. I just had this love of nature and watching birds in my huge walk-in aviaries breed and interact with me because they got to know me. They became very friendly, and going out into the bush, walking along bush tracks, observing birds and seeing the way they behaved has been a passion of mine for over 40 odd years. I want to share my fondness for photographing these birds, not just amazing bird photos like birds in flight and all that, but just looking and photographing the way they interact with each other, with nature. This is what I like doing. Today, I want to share some photos with you to show you that for me, it's not just about capturing amazing bird images. It's about capturing like when birds interact with each other, or sometimes I add a comical title when I share my bird photos, because sometimes when you photograph wildlife, it's like they're humans, and I just add this caption of like just to make people laugh. And often people say like, where do you come out with these? I say, well, if you look at this image, it's like they're doing something. They're like behaving as humans. So let me share you some of these photos. Now this is a classic image of a Pacific black duck coming into land. This is what we all hope to capture. Its wings are outspread, it's coming towards me, and I've got this magical shot, which I've sold a few prints of because people are just amazed. But this type of image doesn't happen every day. You don't always get the perfect lighting behind you to light up your subject. So I treasure these types of photos, like I also treasure other photos that you will see. Or this image here of this osprey going towards its nesting platform with this huge dead branch because it's the start of the breeding season and they have to top up all the twigs just to make the nest comfortable for the female to lay its eggs and then to rear the chicks. Or how about this intermediate egret that I shot a couple of years ago down near Beanley? It was just coming into land on some rocks. I took a series of photos here. This one was just a magical shot. It's got its feet outspread, its wings out like a plane. The flaps are out, it's slowing down, feet are out, ready to touch down. And you can see the rock just below the feet. It's only centimeters away from touching down. And I've been lucky enough to capture this. Or this image here of a montage of this sacred kingfisher coming into the termite mound where its young are. And you can see there are 4 instances of this sacred kingfisher in various flight modes coming into land at the termite mound to feed its young. These sorts of images don't happen every day. Sometimes though, you get very lucky. The images that I just showed you really display birds beautifully, but sometimes you can see the dedication of parents to their young. Look at this Australasian grebe carrying its 2 young. Now this grebe is only about so long. Not only do grebes do this, but swans do it as well. Why do they do it? Well, it's to protect their young, because at this age, these young Australasian grebes are only about this long, and they're very prone to be eaten by eels or other bigger birds. So the parents will carry them around, and they'll also carry them around when their young are tired, because at this age, they get tired very quickly. They might swim around a little bit. As soon as they get tired, up they go, and they rest on their parents' back. Like I said at the beginning, I have a fondness of photographing birds because I also like photographing birds and sometimes videotaping birds doing what comes natural to them. Look at this black swan here. She got up, and what she's doing here in this photo is she's rolling the eggs, because to incubate an egg properly, it has to be turned over, because if it doesn't turn over, then the young will not hatch. The egg will not be incubated properly because it'll get an uneven amount of heat. So the parent every now and then will lift itself up and will use its beak to turn the egg over. And these black swans normally have between 6 and 8 eggs, and they will do this to all of the eggs. And they will also move the eggs around, because right in the center is the hottest area. Not only will they roll the eggs around, but they will also move the eggs from the center to the outside, and then from the outside back into the center, to make sure that all their eggs are correctly incubated. How's that for nature? Now look at these two Australasian swamp hens feeding this chick. Australasian swamp hens are one of the birds that live as a community. They don't just rear up their young. They're part of a broader community. It's not just the parents looking after them. If one of these small chicks is in danger, the whole group of these swamp hens will come towards the danger area. And believe me, they can get very vicious. A few years ago, when I was at Lake Eden, one of these small chicks got out of the water and got itself lost. The parents started calling it, and instead of going back towards the water, it just ran across the path. So I was trying to head it off to shoo it back towards the water, and one of these swamp hens flew at me. But not only did it fly at me to scare me, but at the last minute turned itself and pooped on me like it was a cannonball. They just sprayed their poo straight on me, and it just stained my pants. This is how protective these swamp hens are of the chicks. This just surprised me, because this was the first time that I'd seen these swamp hens being so territorial and so protective of their young. Sometimes I photograph a bird and a caption just comes straight into my mind. Look at this little female fairy wren here. It has like a mask on its eyes, and it looks like it's giving me the death stare straight into the camera, saying, I've got my eye on you. Why? Because just to the right of this image were her young. I don't know whether she's protecting them, but she just flew onto this little branch and was just giving me this death stare for a few minutes. This one here of these two Australasian swamp hens, it's like, psst, I've got a secret to tell you. It looked like the swamp hen on the right is gossiping, saying, hey, have you heard about this? It looks like it's whispering into the ear of this other swamp hen. These are the photos that just make me laugh, and photos that I love sharing with this sort of caption. Here are two pelicans. Pelicans are very territorial, and the one on this log is just screaming out, saying, this is my log, stay away. Its beak is open, and on the end of their beak they've got a little hook on there, and the hook can do a lot of damage. And the other one in the water, you can see what's it doing. It's cowering. It's getting as low as possible on the surface of the lake here, just trying to be submissive, saying, hey, okay, I'm going to back off. This is your log. It's fine. I'm just going to swim away and find another place. Or this one here of this swallow feeding its two young. It's feeding one, but the other one is squawking, saying, what about me, mum? You know, like, I'm hungry too. What about me? It's just squawking away, saying like, can you feed me too? Not just like your favorite right beside you here. I hope you enjoyed the photos, and I hope you can see why I have a fondness of photographing birds. Not just birds that I can just frame, but just photos of birds interacting with each other, or photos of birds where I can add a funny caption of how they behave. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.